Okay, well, it's 10 o'clock, so we can go ahead and get started. Thank you all for joining us for another edition of the Long Coffee Break. My name is Bill Rohn. I'm a senior sales engineer with Long, and today we are going to be talking about how Valent rooftop units solve today's design challenges with improved efficiency and control. We are lucky enough to be joined by Brian Jennison, Regional Sales Manager with Valent. Thanks, Brian. With that, I'll hand it over to you.
Excellent. Thank you, Bill. As Bill said, my name is Brian Jennison, and I'm a regional sales manager with Valent. And today we're going to be talking primarily about our new rooftop unit product, but we'll cover a couple other things first, just to set the table. We've got our DOAS product overview. We'll talk briefly about our ERV product, and then we'll get into the new rooftop product. So a lot of fun updates today from Valent, and I want to thank you all for being here with us today. And those that are familiar with Valent will recognize these cabinets. We've got our VX product line, or our DOAS line. And for a long time, we've had 4 different box sizes. And just recently, we came out with a 5th larger box size, which we're calling our VX 412. You can see at the bottom there. And this expands our airflow range up to 29,200 CFM. And so we're excited to bring this to market. We think it'll meet demand that we've been seeing from our customers. And the Package DX offering goes up to 100 tons with this product. So we've got a DOAS unit from 3 up to 100 tons now. Our air source heat pump line in this product goes from 5 to 30 tons. And we also offer chilled water, hot water, as always. And on the heating side, I know in your climate, I'm from Minneapolis, and so we use a lot of heat as well, but we offer up to 2,000 MBH gas heat. And then, of course, we also offer electric, hot water, or steam. And I know electric is becoming more and more popular, especially paired with our air source heat pumps, as our markets move more towards the decarbonization and electrification. And as a reminder, our 4 smaller cabinet sizes come with or without energy recovery. And we will have energy recovery also in the 412 in December. So it's not quite here yet, but that is coming. We know it's important, of course, to include energy recovery. And as a reminder, we offer both wheels and cores in our products. And we'll briefly touch on the ERV product next. There are some pictures there on the right of different cabinets and styles, indoor and outdoor, but we offer a pretty good mix of ERV products. They're fairly simple, usually just energy recovery, fans, and filters. And we go up to 6,000 CFM. And the main competitive advantages for Valent with this product, even though it's pretty simple, we have some key advantages. And one is that we offer both types of energy recovery. A lot of our competitors will offer one or the other, either a wheel or a core. Valent offers both, so we give good flexibility to the customer. Price and lead time are other advantages. We have a fairly competitively priced product in the market. We get good feedback, and lead time 4 to 6 weeks, which is pretty good. Not too many others that can beat us on lead time with this product. So those are our 3 competitive strengths, and we feel that those add a lot of value for our customers. So if you have a project where you have an ERV unit or multiple units, reach out to your Long representative and they could do a design for you. Now let's talk about our new rooftop product. So this is brand new for Valent, and we're finding that not a lot of customers even know that we have a rooftop, and that's just because it's so new. So we're trying to get the word out, and I give thanks to Long here for letting me spread the news to all of our customers. And let's go back, and first of all, why did we come out with this product? And what we did is we looked at some Dodge data. This is from Dodge Construction Network. And we found a pretty wide range of outside air airflows in the projects we looked at, which is not surprising. And you can see there's a grouping in that 10 to 35% outside air range, and then right at the end, 100% outside air. And that's usually where Valent has played in the past, is 100% outside air. We're really strong there because our DOAS units, as you would expect, are designed for outside air. We tailored it specifically to handle high percentages of outside air. And that's been our bread and butter for many years with modulating components and humidity and temperature control, integrated controls. And what was surprising to us is we looked at our sales over the years and we found that while most of our sales were high outside air applications, our customers were choosing to use our DOAS unit for partial outside air and even, you might say, really low percentages of outside air. And so that orange line overlaid on that bar graph represents our DOAS sales over the past year. So as you might expect, you could see a lot of 100% outside air sales, but surprisingly, we even have some of those sales down in the really low outside air ranges. And so what that tells us is customers are willing to pay a little bit of a premium to get those same features that we include in our DOAS units, even for low outside air applications. And so there seems to be a shift in the market and what matters to our customers. So that was really interesting to us. And here you could see that range is typically a performance rooftop or DOAS unit, high outside air, and then you've got traditional unitary rooftop units that typically handle really low percentage outside air. So what we did is we said, let's build a unit from scratch that is specifically tailored for partial recirculation or low outside air applications, partial outside air applications. And that's what we did. And so you'll see that the airflow range that we designed for this product is greater than a traditional rooftop unit. So we're pushing, up to 40%, and even probably in your climate, you don't quite have as much moisture in your outside air. So you could probably even push that a little bit further, probably up to, 60% or more, I would say. And this slide shows essentially the same information, just in a different way. And so there's a spectrum of air handling equipment up on the top, and that's based on outside air percentage roughly. So on the far left, we have catalog rooftops. Those handle very little outside air. And then all the way up to something like a custom air handling unit where you're going to pay a premium for that. But clearly those are designed for a full range of outside air. But if we look at the three graphics on the bottom, we're positioning our rooftop unit, we think, somewhere in the middle between a traditional rooftop and our DOAS product. And we think this is a good sweet spot because I mentioned that customers were using our DOAS units for low outside air applications. And certainly they could have been using a traditional rooftop, but typically you get less features with that. It comes at a much lower price point. And so price-wise, our DOAS unit really wasn't competitive, but customers were still willing to pay a little bit extra for it. And so with a traditional rooftop, again, you're going to have hardly any modulating components, if any. So you're going to be cycling your equipment on and off. Usually the insulation is not as robust. You might be looking at a single wall cabinet with fiberglass insulation. So that's where our rooftop unit fits in, right in the middle between those two. It's a sweet spot, we think. Now here is the product overview on one slide. Up to 13,000 CFM. We offer both package DX and air source heat pump, up to 30 tons, so 3 to 30 tons. And on the heating side, we're offering gas and electric heat. And so we studied the market, and that seems to be to cover a wide range of what we're seeing used for traditional rooftop units. Now I mentioned insulation, and that's critical for a DOAS unit treating outside air. It is still important for partial outside air units and rooftop units, and so we decided to use a foam injected cabinet just like our DOAS unit, and that's a double wall construction with injected foam that fills all of the crevices and gaps. So there's no voids in the panel itself. And we're providing this on the walls, the floor, and the ceiling panels. So all 6 sides of the unit get this injected foam insulation, double wall. We're doing 2 inches on the top and bottom, the ceiling and the floor, and then 1 inch on the walls. And so those that are familiar with our DOAS unit might remember that we do a 2-inch wall panel and 2-inch floors and ceilings. So 2 inch all around. We're doing 1 inch on the walls for this rooftop unit with 2 inches on the floor and the ceiling. So very similar. We're still using our pre-painted exterior, so you get good protection on the outside of the cabinet as well. And there are a lot of similarities actually with our DOAS unit. So you might take a look out on the outside and say, well, gosh, it looks pretty similar. And you'd be right. It looks very similar. There's a lot of similarities. We use a lot of the same components. And you can see there in black text are all the things that are the same between our rooftop unit and our DOAS unit. The things in red are the differences. So you can see there's more in common than are different, but I'll point out the differences. We're putting forklift cutouts on our rooftop unit just to make it easier to lift and move our units. And then we're standardizing on EC motors on the condenser fans. And you'll notice the condenser coil looks a little bit different than it does on our DOAS unit, and that's because it's a wraparound type coil, just to save a little bit of space. But other than that, it looks very similar and functions very similar to our DOAS units. And I mentioned modulating components several times already, and it's really important for the messaging of this product. We thought it was important to include the same modulating components that we have in our DOAS units because that's what customers were asking for. So for example, we've got direct drive fans with VFDs, we've got EC condensing fans, inverter compressors that fully modulate, modulating hot gas reheat, and modulating furnaces and electric heat. So what that gives you, what value that gives your customers is energy efficiency. Instead of cycling the unit on and off, we're able to trim and modulate as needed, and that's very efficient from an energy standpoint. And then as you modulate, that's going to impact your sound levels, the sound that your unit's producing. So really low sound performance and precise temperature and humidity control. So again, if you can modulate your components, you have much better control of your leaving temperature, your leaving humidity, and just makes for a much more efficient, better controlled unit. And then finally, life expectancy. We've got that pre-paint on the exterior for the casing. It's a double wall panel, so the insulation is going to last. And if you're turning your components down instead of cycling them, theoretically, you should have a longer lasting unit. So our units are designed for 20 plus years, just like our DOAS units. So, traditional unitary rooftops, you could argue that the life expectancy on those is far less, but that's how we designed this rooftop unit, is we wanted to make this a long-lasting cabinet for the customer. And those familiar with our controls for our DOAS units will recognize the Corel controller that we use. We're going to use the exact same control platform for our rooftop unit as well, and all the same sequences that you're used to with our DOAS unit. So a lot of similarities there between the two products. And with that, we also offer our web user interface. So this is a platform that allows you to basically look at all the controls in a very user-friendly way on a web-based platform. So there's no subscription fees, there's no software to download, it's all accessible on a web browser. Now, because this is a new product for us, we had to have a place to build it. And we built a brand new factory on our Tulsa campus. That's our primary manufacturing campus. And you can see some renderings there. Top left is a picture of the outside of the building. And top right is a rendering of the fabrication cell. And that's how we build our panels. And so it takes the sheet metal. It's all automated. So robots pull the sheet metal off the rack. They put it on the machine. It punches, bends, and forms it and gets it ready for foam prep. And so it's a very automated process. And we actually can run this factory lights out. Meaning no human intervention. So it's pretty cool cutting edge technology. The bottom right picture shows a conveyor system where the unit moves down the assembly line and we don't have to pick it up with a crane. So very automated, very high tech. And we're also working on putting in a customer visit center on this campus. So in about a year from now, we'll be able to host customers and show you this new factory. If you're interested in learning more about this product, you can visit our website, valentair.com. We've got some data sheets, and we've also got our IOMs there, of course. And if there's anything else you'd like to see, just reach out to your Long representative, and we'll take care of you. With that, I'll turn it over back to you, Bill.
Thanks, Brian. I really appreciate it. Thank you all for joining us on this coffee break. Please reach out to your Long sales engineer for additional information on Valent. And now it's time for giving out prizes. This week's prize choices are $100 Bass Pro Shop gift card, bottle of baking soda, and a Coach Tech organizer. Thank you again for joining us. Have a great day.